A place where your favorite programs comes wrapped in the comfort of your mother tongue. Welcome to ZNBC Radio 1, a radio station that not only broadcasts in 1 but in 7 major languages. Covering every part of Zambia. Your roots are always within reach with our diverse programs, bringing the heart of your village right to your doorstep. Catch the latest news, captivating shows, and sports highlights, all in the languages that feels like home. Here to educate, entertain, and inform while keeping it 100% traditional. From sunrise to sunset, every word and every beat honors the culture and tradition, because home is where the heart is. ZNBC Radio 1. Feel at home. There is a place where every word speaks to you in the languages you cherish. A place where your favorite programs comes wrapped in the comfort of your mother tongue. Welcome to ZNBC Radio 1, a radio station that not only broadcasts in 1 but in 7 major languages. Covering every part of Zambia. Your roots are always within reach with our diverse programs, bringing the heart of your village right to your doorstep. Catch the latest news, captivating shows, and sports highlights, all in the languages that feels like home. Here to educate, entertain, and inform while keeping it 100% traditional. From sunrise to sunset, every word and every beat honors the culture and tradition, because home is where the heart is. ZNBC Radio.
Hello and welcome to this program, and it's the second in the series as we look at your money mysteries and just how to unlock them. And we did have the Chief Executive Officer last week detailing us on what the Security and Exchange Commission does and as far as ensuring that you're secure against these scams. And today is episode 2, and I'm privileged to be joined by Diana Sichone, Director Enforcement and Legal Services, as she gives us an insight to some of the red flags that you need to look out for and just what the Securities and Exchange Commission has in store for you. We'll be speaking to her just after this break.
Tell those people to get that $4 million, put it in the $30 million account.
I should have known better. I trusted someone I didn't fully understand.
Oh yeah, and that I can't wait to move into the new house.
You know, you make me run around and find that money and make sure that you know these things. Money is money.
Thank you for staying with us, and that's just some of what you should expect on this 5-part series. But today, we look at the importance of understanding investment risks and recognizing red flags to avoid fraudulent schemes. I'd like to welcome you, Director, to the program.
Thank you very much.
I know that you have been busy as the Securities and Exchange Commission. Let's just recap on last week's conversation. I know you were following, and there was a lot of interest in these Ponzi schemes. Let's talk about that and just giving our viewers an overview of why this was an important conversation to have.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. So Ponzi schemes are very common in Zambia today, and they target the unsuspecting Zambian public. We've seen an increase over the months and years, and that is why, as a Securities and Exchange Commission, it is our responsibility to ensure that the investing public are as equipped as possible to be able to identify all these scams and schemes so that they are able to protect their hard-earned monies from scammers. So Ponzi schemes are something that we look out for, we investigate, and when we identify one, we warn the public about them.
I like that when we sit at this table, we are talking from your perspective with a legal mind. And one of the questions that keeps on coming up is, why is it important to always verify investment providers, especially their licenses? It's something that we don't really look into as members of the public.
That's so true. If you look at a licensed provider, the first thing that you need to be aware of is that there's a certain level of protection through that licensing process, because as a regulator, we are a gatekeeper. We play a gatekeeping function. So through licensing, we don't just allow any person to come into the market. So we do sieve, or we go through a process that we call fit and proper criteria. So through that fit and proper criteria, we are able to select those that qualify, those that satisfy the minimum requirements for you to be able to get a license. So not everybody is able to qualify. So through licensing, it's one of the ways in which we protect the public, because a licensed person has gone through quite a bit. They have to go through qualifications, they have to go through certifications, so that they are able to operate in the capital markets and be able to serve the investing public.
Sometimes people will say they were ignorant on both sides of the coin, but let's start with me as a service provider. What do I need to actually get into this kind of business and delve into investments?
So as a service provider, you are the frontline person that will speak to the public. So the public needs to have that confidence that when they come to you, you'll be able to give them proper advice. So as a commission, we license investment advisors. So investment advisors are there to look at your risk profile. They'll be able to assess what your investment needs are, your horizons. For instance, the advice that would be given to someone that is starting out work today is different from someone that is retiring or has only 2 years to go before they retire. So even your risk profile, younger people obviously might have higher risk profiles where they're able to invest in higher risk products than someone who is about to retire. So that's one of the things that a licensed investment advisor is able to do. So they are also able to tell you about the right products to invest in, depending on what kind of portfolio you would like to invest in. So that is something that a licensed investment advisor is able to do.
Why do we see the trend of people not really following procedure when it comes to this? People would rather tiptoe around these issues, the formalization of this particular advisor. Why do we see this, and how are you as the Security and Exchange Commission trying to reverse some of these bad trends?
So we do have a number of people out there that are masquerading as licensed persons, when in fact not. We do have identified a number of them and have actually taken enforcement action against some of these unlicensed persons. The danger with dealing with someone who is not licensed is that they're not subject to regulatory oversight of the Securities and Exchange Commission. They haven't gone through that rigorous process that we undertake to make sure that the person is fit and proper. They are not trained and certified in accordance with our requirements, and therefore when you deal with a person that is not licensed, then you are putting your hard-earned money at risk. It's very, very easy to verify and to check the license status of a person, because you can even go to the Commission's website. You can contact us through phone, through email, various means of getting to know the Commission, even through our social media pages, Facebook and all these other social media pages, where you can then get the right information, which can then lead you to verify that the person you're dealing with is licensed. So that's one of the first things you need to do. Ask them if they have a license. If they're not willing to disclose, then that's already a red flag. But you can also do your background checks and find out from us as a regulator. Then we're able to help you and advise whether or not the person you're dealing with is licensed or not.
What sort of distress does this save the general public from? Because even from the conversations we had last week, the callers kept on asking about how do we know this is a licensed dealer, and we had actual stories of people being scammed. But if you go through that due diligence, what will it save an individual, groupings from? Because I know sometimes the scam goes beyond one person and goes to many other people in a grouping, even from a church setting.
That is true. I think one weakness that we do have is trust. We trust without verifying. Because even the person that is your relative can defraud you. So you need to be very careful as the investing public before you put any hard-earned monies into any investment product. Because even the products that are offered on the market, that operate in the securities markets, the capital markets, we also have to approve those products. So it's not just any investment a product that you can take out there. So as a member of the public, it is incumbent on you to verify, and that gives you confidence that the market is well regulated. It gives you peace of mind. Even as you are able to invest, you know that my investment is regulated, it's safe, it is subject to regulatory oversight. So those are some of the things, the benefits of dealing with licensed and regulated persons, as well as investing in products that are authorized by the Commission. Thank you.
Let's take a break and just get a little bit of a glimpse to how sometimes we fall for these scams. Let's see what really goes on.
Beware, scammers are getting smarter, and with mobile money and digital payments, it's easier than ever to fall for a fake deal. Don't get caught. Before you send money or invest, make sure you're dealing with a licensed financial service provider. Protect your money. Stay alert. Be a smart investor. This message is brought to you by the Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting investors in the capital markets.
Thank you so much for staying with us, and that is what the Security and Exchange Commission believes in, protecting your investment. And we're having this conversation because some of those red flags that are around you can be prevented, especially if you do the right thing. Now let me come back to you, Director, in looking at what we have seen even from the clip. Sometimes people will say they did not have the right information from the Security and Exchange Commission, and one of the issues we talked about was, are we reading enough? Are we looking into these issues enough? How important has it been for you to be on platforms like this one that actually create awareness, especially for the general public?
The Commission, one of the Commission's core objectives is to also undertake market development and through market development, in addition to investor protection. So we have a dual mandate of investor protection and market development. So through the market development mandate, we then also have a lot of awareness campaigns. So one of the ways in which we get to the investing public is through platforms like this, where we have a program such as this one, where the public are able to listen in and be able to hear what we do as a commission. But this is not the only thing that we do. We also are very active on the social media platforms, and we also undertake a number of sensitization and awareness, market awareness campaigns throughout the country, so that we are able to give the investing public the relevant information and knowledge that they will need to protect their investments. I think you heard what CEO said last week, that even if you live next to a police station, you need to lock your house. So that is one of the things that you need to do, get the knowledge and get empowered, because a knowledgeable investor is an empowered investor. And once you know, you are able to ask the right questions, you ask the licensing status of the person you're dealing with, is the product regulated and authorized, then you're protecting your hard-earned money.
So ignorance is no defense in this case.
It's not a defense. I think we do have we do have a culture of not reading in Zambia. We need to improve as the Zambian public. So it's something that I would encourage people, that we do put out, for instance, scams alerts. Even the past few months, we've put out a number of scams alerts for the investing public. But we're also trying to see how best we could look at reaching the public. And this program is actually one of the ways in which, instead of just putting out an alert on our website, publishing it on any other media, speaking to people about these scams is one of the ways in which we want to reach. But we want to encourage the investing public, visit our website as regularly as you can, and then you'll be able to see what we are seeing from our regulatory side. Because if we warn you and you still go ahead, you are doing it at your own peril if you lose your money, because that's how scams work. In the initial stages, they are positive, because that's how they want to attract more people. So those that go in early are able to win, but that's a very, very wrong strategy, because you might be the one that will end up crying. So you need to be very careful and not just participate in these scams. The laws in our land actually criminalize participation in scams. For instance, the Banking and Financial Services Act, it criminalizes money circulation schemes. So when we do our investigations, that is some of the one of the offenses we actually find these scammers to have. They could have found themselves having to have breached such a law. So then we do work together with the central bank and law enforcement agencies to then refer these cases to them, because as a capital markets regulator, some of the scams that we find are not capital markets related, but we do work with law enforcement and our fellow regulators. And if you participate in a scam under our laws in Zambia, it's actually an offense, and you could be prosecuted for participation. So it's a warning actually to the investing public that don't participate, because one day, just because the police hasn't caught you, one day you can be caught.
I think that's why we see people not even report to the police service when they're involved in these and when they lose colossal sums of money. But let's take another break and look into our episode today as we delve deeper into this conversation, and we hope that you at home will make those informed decisions.
Make your money in 2 days. Nati, make your money
Now, as my last time, peni na bwera pano nakuuzani kuti kulimopangira ndalama. You invest the money and people give you back the money. Now, these are papers yama plot of your friends from the other market. Mumbera market. Now, imwe na imwe mukatipasa ipendalama. We will invest the money. Upon investing the money, we will give you back some more money. You, me, tingankare manje wosiana, life yosianako. Mumberaka. That's why even me have come here. Wirani to my offices yatu, we will change your life. Munga mweta kamira, make your money. Thank you very much. Now with that said, number as mine 0973.
It is so good.
Chani.
Even a Moses in my tank,
Chani, Lydia. What do you mean? Dalamazato.
Everything is good.
Lydia.
Once, hold on.
The number you dialed is not a working number. Please check the number and dial again.
In the network.
The number you dialed is not a working number. Please check the number and dial again.
I worked every day.
Mary. Mary. Ulikwi?
Sorry,
Ulifika kwino? Ndefa ngomsana.
Okay.
Vina.
Andre?
Yebo. Ibidi.
Every day, saving kwacha by kwacha, and now it's gone.
Oh.
How do I tell my family that I have nothing left?
Nishinga.
Then kwacha.
Yes.
You are stronger than you think, Mary. If we left here, we need to start from somewhere.
It's true. And we can't always trust that's easy.
You eh?
Yeah. But we need to think long term. We need to think about our families, our future. Before we jump on anything, we need to make sure we check that investment professionals are licensed. Because jumping into something just like that, you get scammed.
We have learned a hard way. And the way he came like a sweet talk. Me, I was just like, Lydia.
Smart.
Muli Corolla.
Right in, eh?
I say.
No, we've learned our lesson.
Watch out for the next episode. This movie is sponsored by the Securities and Exchange Commission, the regulators of capital markets in Zambia.
This is Money Mysteries, and we are unlocking those money mysteries. And from that clip, I know many of us in our communities can relate to what happened to Mary. And I am speaking to Mrs. Diana Sichone, Director, Enforcement and Legal Services, just to give you that free legal advice on this table as we unlock the money mysteries. Now, I'd like us to talk about what we saw in the clip, and more often than not, that's where the conversation ends between friends. No one will really go to the Security and Exchange Commission and say, this is what happened to me. They don't go to the police service. It's a little bit complex when it comes to these issues.
That's so true. Maybe before you even get to find out where you can go when you're scammed, we actually see a trend of trying to get rich quick. There's nothing that comes so easy like on a silver platter. You have to work hard for most of the investments. So we see people actually going to even borrow from banks because of a very, very good deal that sounds too good to be true. And when it's too good to be true, it always is. So in that clip, we saw how they were scammed and they didn't know what to do. But we do have a regulator that is able to listen to you when you have such kind of a problem. So you can approach the commission, you can report to the police, because most of these are fraud related. The police is able to investigate fraud. You could go to the Drug Enforcement Commission because it could be money laundering. You could report to the central bank itself, the Bank of Zambia, as well as ourselves as a Securities and Exchange Commission. So, but as the financial sector regulators, together with the law enforcement agencies, as well as other regulatory authorities in the country, we have come together to fight crime together. So we have an interagency cooperation group that has been set up to fight crime, including scams. And you'll be seeing a lot of activity going forward because we are putting our resources together, not just the SEC, because we know that as a SEC we protect investors. But these same investors, they pay taxes, so ZRA is critical. They are defrauded through phones. ZICTA is important to come on the table. The police will also come in. So we are coming together to fight crime together. So as an interagency framework, we are coming together, and you'll be able to see a lot of campaigns and just look out and see how we are working together to ensure that no one is defrauded anymore. There are a lot of success stories about prosecutions that have taken place successfully, where the scammers are taken to book and they are locked up. So those of you that are listening and watching and are actually scammers and scamming the unsuspecting members of the public, we are warning you as the interagency framework that we are coming for you. So don't think that you can just take advantage of the investing public just like that.
And I like that you bring that out, because it seems sometimes people feel the scammers go scot-free, but there's also almost a pass of a baton. If I hear the information and I bring the Ponzi scheme here to my workplace, does that also make me some sort of accomplice to this particular fraud or scam that we are talking about?
That is true, because when you look at participation is also encouraging others to join. So you are participating and you are drawing others to come into these illegal schemes. So the investing public needs to be careful. And that is why, remember at the beginning of the program, we were talking about looking and dealing with licensed entities, licensed individuals, because that is where you first draw your comfort. That this person I'm dealing with is regulated. They are under supervisory oversight of a regulator. And therefore, that is my first point of call, that I am protected. Then you look at the product you want to put your money in. Is it authorized or regulated by the regulators, whichever entity that you're dealing with? Because if it's a capital markets product, we will have to authorize that product for you to then invest in. Because even the products, the way they are structured, we have to oversee and make sure that there are built-in safeguards for an investor to put in their money, so that when you suffer loss, then there are mechanisms, such as under the Securities Act, we have a compensation fund where when you suffer loss as an investor through the default of a licensed person, then you can recover your part of your funds. Because the first point of call obviously is to recover from the licensed person through insurance, but when it's not sufficient, then you can come to the commission and then you can recover the rest through the compensation fund. So there are those built-in mechanisms, but you cannot come and claim from the compensation fund if the product was illegal in the first place, because it's not an authorized product. So you are putting yourself on a back foot because you are losing out on your hard-earned cash.
Let's invite our callers on 253025. The area code is 0211, and we'd like to hear from you as we talk to Madam Diana Sichone on all things legal issues and how you can prevent scams and frauds, especially that this trend is growing and growing at a fast rate, and this is why the Securities and Exchange Commission is here for you. Now let's talk about the checklist, and I ask this because you pointed out that most individuals, and I think we're all culprits in looking at fast money, fast investment platforms, we're so willing to put that hard-earned money into these Ponzi schemes and not really have a checklist. But when you talk about a checklist, Madam Sichone, what are we really talking about? What must I look out for in as far as maybe 10 points of this investment that I'm about to take on?
Yes, so there are quite a number of things that you need to look out for. The first one is what we keep on emphasizing, the licensing status of the person you're dealing with. So always make sure that you're dealing with a regulated person. That's the first thing. Then the second thing is you now need to look at the product itself. Is the product that this licensed person is offering for me to invest in, is it regulated as well? Is it a product that is authorized by the commission? So that's the second thing you need to know. And then the third thing is the disclosures. You need to understand the product. So the licensed person will be able to speak to you, ask as many questions as possible. If you don't understand, don't keep quiet. Ask questions, let them explain to you how the product works, how it has been performing, what risks are there, and what does it suit your investment horizon as well as your risk profile. Because you might be investing in a high risk product when your risk profile is different. So those are some of the things that you need to look out for. When it's disclosures, look at the financials, read the financials. Are they operating in a space where you are seeing what they're actually doing? Because a lot of these schemes do not have actual business lines. It's just money that is circulating. There's no business at the end of the day that is creating a profit for you to then gain a benefit through that activity. So,
Madam Sichone, let me just hold your thought there, because we have Brighton from Mongu joining us. Brighton, you're through to the program. Please go ahead with your question or contribution.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I have a question that I want to ask you from you there.
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yes, I've seen a lot of these money lenders on the social media. You find that maybe today there is another name. After 2 weeks again, there is another name. So how can you help the public in terms of those people?
Okay, thank you very much. I know, Mrs. Sichone, I'd like you to finish your points and marry it with the social media, yes. Obviously scammers that come up and continue to evolve within a short space of time.
Yes. So as the Securities and Exchange Commission, we then put in place a regulatory framework to ensure that when a member of the investing public goes to see a licensed person, they get the best investment advice possible. They're given the right disclosures that we were talking about earlier, that you are able to be explained. If you can't read the financials, you see that there's actually a business line behind a particular product. So we were going through, and those are some of the things you need to do. But answering Brighton from Mongu in terms of money lenders, money lending is something that is regulated by the Ministry of Finance, and therefore we don't regulate money lending. We regulate investment, and so as a commission we don't go in that space of money lending. So if there are entities that keep on changing names 1 week after the other, I think that's something that you can raise with the Ministry of Finance and National Planning, and then they'll be able to look into the matter.
And just a rider on what Brighton asked about, social media has brought also a new dynamic to what you do as SEC. And sometimes people will say maybe these scams are so complicated that SEC may not be able to identify, especially when you look at some of them where you find the admin is out of Zambia, and it's so hard to follow up for those who may be scammed.
You'll be pleased to note that as a Securities and Exchange Commission, we are a member of the International Organization of Securities Commissions, so which is IOSCO. So IOSCO is an international standard-setting body for capital markets regulators around the world. We are a member of that. We're a signatory to the Multilateral Memorandum of Understanding, the MMOU. Through that MMOU, it allows us to cooperate and coordinate with any type of regulator around the world who is dealing with capital markets products. So even if a scammer or a person that is trying to defraud our Zambian investing public is, for instance, seated in the US, we will engage our partners, our fellow regulators in the US, and then they will be able to assist us locate that person. So social media is not a boundary for us. So if we identify that there is a problem, we know how to get to the person. So, and we also work with various entities, including ZICTA, for instance, the law enforcement agencies. So we are not alone. So as a regulator, we are privileged that to be part of these important networks, because in this day and age, cooperation is what drives us to be able to catch those criminals out there.
Let's go to Ndola, where we have Boyd on the line. Boyd, you're through to the program. Please go ahead with your question or contribution. Yes, please, Boyd, can you kindly speak up? Okay, sorry, Boyd. We'll have to let you go there because we are unable to. But please do try and get in touch with us again. This is your program and we want you to unlock those money mysteries. Now, Madam Sichane, let's continue our conversation in looking at what next if I have been scammed. And that is one avenue that people do not want to delve in. But what should an individual do?
So we saw in the video, Mary and her colleague, they looked so hopeless and helpless. They just sat there waiting and wondering, trying to phone the chairman and getting no luck. But if you are defrauded, if you are scammed, please report, because the Commission's eyes and ears are not everywhere. We're not on the ground throughout the country. We're not in the markets every single day when people are being defrauded. So when you do find that you are a victim of such a scam or fraud, report to the police. The police stations around the country are everywhere. The Commission is only in Lusaka, unfortunately, but we do have our partners, the police. They're everywhere. You can report to the police, and the police will then get to speak to us if it is something that we ought to look at. Mm-hmm. So if you find yourself in such a situation, please report. That is the first thing, because you might not be the only one that has suffered loss. There might be others that are even putting in their money not knowing that they'll end up losing out. So you are also protecting others by reporting. So it's important to get this thing reported at the earliest opportunity.
Let's go to Kabwe, where Raphael is joining us on the line. Please go ahead with your question or contribution.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that the organization is working with Victor and other agencies. My question is, why is it that Victor is failing to find these people who are sending messages, and those messages are scam messages? And we are warned to say, you are warning us to say, we shouldn't entertain such things and all those things. But the issue is, how come Victor is failing to find these people? Are they not registered? Are these members known? Because there's a rumor, I would say it's a rumor, that even if you go to Victor, these members are not registered here in Zambia. Who is this person registering these numbers, and how are they accessing the airwaves? Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. And I'm sure we can't speak for Zicta at this point, but we will speak from the Security and Exchange Commission in looking at how we can help aid you and how these collaborations can also help curb this fraud. And I understand him, because you get this message saying you've received 3,000 kwacha, and then quickly someone is calling you to say, please reverse this money back into my account. And many people have fallen victim to such scams.
That is so true. So like you have rightly pointed out, I'm not from Zicta, so I will not speak to what they are competently able to do. Suffice to mention that we do have a very good working relationship, and we have had successful investigations. We've undertaken joint investigations with the law enforcement agencies together with ourselves as a commission, where we, some of them are active cases, so I can't really speak to that. But one of the ones that a few years ago, a success story, the public might have heard about Heritage Coin, where over 15 million kwacha was recovered by the Drug Enforcement Commission, and they didn't work on their own. They obviously worked with others, including Zicta. So we need to give credit where it's due, because sometimes it takes long for these investigations to be put together. And you know how criminal processes are. If you make a mistake in putting your evidence together, you might lose the case because of not having prepared. So we would just like to assure the investing public that the law enforcement agencies, Zicta, and the other regulatory authorities, including the Securities and Exchange Commission, are there to ensure that their hard-earned cash, their hard-earned savings are protected. And whichever mechanisms are used, whether it's investigations, whether it's awareness campaigns, we are out there to ensure that we protect the public.
Let's go to Mr. Sinkala, who's calling us from within Lusaka. Mr. Sinkala, you're through to the program. Please go ahead with your question or contribution.
Good evening, host. Good evening, Madam Diana.
Good evening.
All right. I just wanted to find out whether or not there is a feedback loop that actually the public can have access to in terms of reports that have been made by various people from across the country. Because in most cases, what happens is that when we do report these numbers to Zicta, then that's it. You don't get any feedback of what action Zicta will do. Not just these people who actually send messages of scams and we do report. I remember, I think a few years back, we also had another Ponzi scheme company that was called Go Like, and many other companies that came after that. And these companies have been running away with people's money. Reports have been made afterwards, but people have no access to feedback as to what happened when people reported. Did the relevant bodies follow up? Did they catch them? What happened? Where do we get this feedback? I think I would want to just find out about that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Sicha, I'll allow you to answer that. But first, let's just take this short break and look at just how you can prevent yourself from being scammed.
Beware, scammers are getting smarter, and with mobile money and digital payments, it's easier than ever to fall for a fake deal. Don't get caught. Before you send money or invest, make sure you're dealing with a licensed financial service provider. Protect your money. Stay alert. Be a smart investor. This message is brought to you by the Securities and Exchange Commission, protecting investors in the capital markets.
Protect your money. Come and learn at the World Investor Week.
Thank you for staying with us, and thank you for the interaction from our viewers. And we were just looking at another aspect where viewers would like to know how they get feedback to what they ask. And I know you talked about the website. What is SEC doing to ensure there's some sort of two-way communication in as far as what I report and what you are investigating?
So, Mr. Sinkala's question was more targeted at ZICTA, but I will answer it with respect to what SEC does. Even through our interagency cooperation mechanism, even if one of us obtain a report, we are able then to channel it to the right body because we do cooperate on a very, very, very close way. So even if Mr. Sinkala is still dissatisfied with those reports, just send them to any one of the regulatory authorities that are in the interagency framework. You can go to the website of the Commission. You can visit the websites of the Drug Enforcement Commission, ZICTA. You'll be able to see the details of who are in the interagency framework. There's about 21 regulatory authorities in the country. So in terms of the feedback mechanism that we have, we do allow the public to get to us through our website, through phones, through emails, and we do also, when we have a successful investigation and enforcement action, depending on the type of enforcement action, we also do public censures. I'm sure the public have been able to see a number of public censures that we have taken out, including on scam, on persons that were undertaking unlicensed securities business, even those that were purportedly scamming the investing public. So we do this to protect the public as well, so that when you start putting your money in these investments, you should be able to have that comfort that I'm dealing with a licensed entity, and therefore my investment is safe because it's subject to regulatory oversight.
So we can say the Security and Exchange Commission is a step ahead.
We are.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, Madam
Thank you very much.
And just giving us that insight. I think there is a sense of assurance that you have brought to the table. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, and good evening to the viewers.
And thank you so much for your participation. And as far as this topic is concerned, remember that we will be back next week to discuss other issues around frauds and scams. But what Madam Diana Cichone emphasizes is that do that due diligence that will ensure that you do not fall prey to some of these schemes. And don't look at the process, but look at the outcomes, because your money and your investments must be protected. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is Chila Shekangwa. Until next week, goodbye.